just literally dropped me off at my house, like we paid you to do.
Ma'am, I ended the ride and I asked you politely to step out of my vehicle.
No, you ended the ride not at my house. You think I'm gonna get out on a side street? Shut the up. We'll wait for the cops then, if that's what you think is appropriate. You don't just end a ride. Shut up, dude. I'll wait. God, just take me. Oh my God, you're an idiot.
Oh, and there was more. That gem was Jody Warner. She was just fired as the assistant district attorney in Dallas after the Uber tirade. Warner admits she had too much to drink. I think the audio kind of confirmed that. The dispute was over directions to her house. Here is her apology. And now some people...
I just want to apologize for my language to the district attorney's office. I'm sorry. For embarrassing the office that I love very much and respect very much. I embarrassed my family. I embarrassed myself. That is not who I am.
Now, actually, some people are coming to her defense, saying there was a rush to judgment when she was fired. Where's a line for a public figure when they make public spectacles of themselves? And Doug, I start with this. She did go on to say that, get the police, they're going to believe me more than they believe you the more you hear of the audio tape. Conversely, she said that he didn't follow the directions that the GPS was giving him, and she was concerned. But nonetheless, the district attorney said her behavior completely unprofessional, and it was a bad representation of the office, ergo the pink slip. Who's right, who's wrong?
I think the right thing happened here. When I started as a prosecutor years ago, we were told that, listen, this is a job that you're entrusted with. There'll be times that you may have to, bite your tongue and, pay for a ticket that you don't think you're guilty of because of the job you have. And the allegation is that she was saying, because of my job, they will believe you. And I think the right thing happened. You feel bad for her because everybody knows somebody who's been drunk in the back of a taxi cab or Uber, but it sounds like the right thing happened.
If the argument is, Nick, there's no off hours when you work as either district attorney in ADA, you work for the U.S. Attorney's Office, is there any distinction between something happened at 11 o'clock at night driving home versus something going on between lunch coming back to the office when you're in the middle of a case?
Yeah, there is some distinction, and it would have been worse if she was sober, for example, and used her office. But there's all levels of gradation here, and what's the appropriate punishment. And I got to myself say, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. And I get off a lot of times with 10 Hail Marys and 10 Our Fathers, and this poor woman is learning a very tough lesson. I know for my law students and for my own kids, especially in this day, you have to assume that everything's going to be videotaped and assume that you're always on call and that whatever your activity is, you should be, to the extent you can, and you don't always hit the mark, be honorable. But when you're a lawyer and you're an officer of the court, this goes back to Judge Moore. Compare her behavior to Judge Moore's behavior, and he doesn't seem to have any yet repercussion. In fact, he's in some way become more popular in some camps, which is an odd thing.
Yeah, and she not running it. I know I'm already over. Really briefly, does it come with the job, the responsibility that there is no off hours, 7 days a week, 365, 24 hours a day, you're going to be held accountable for your words?
Absolutely, and not only the job, the profession itself. And as former prosecutor, I think we all know that we were hired at the pleasure of, which meant that the DA could have come in for any reason and said, you're no longer here. The DA had other options. They could have, but what I didn't hear was an apology to the Uber driver either. Now, maybe that did occur and we didn't see that part of it.
To be fair to her, in part of the comments, she did show some apologies, and she said some misrepresentations were made by the driver, but she did apology. Guys, great job. All right, when I come back on the other side of the break, I'll pivot to politics and take a look at the new tax plan that the GOP came out with in the House. It's also morphed into, believe it or not, the health care bill all wrapped into one. It's not going to make it any easier for the GOP to pass the thing. We'll be right back with that after this.